So if you suffer from heart anxiety and you worry about your heart on a daily basis, these are 10 things that you can start doing today to start getting better. Hit that like button down below if you struggle with heart anxiety, and if you want to let us know your personal journey with heart anxiety or some things that have helped you, feel free to share it down below. Number one, guys, you need to get some initial reassurance from a doctor or a specialist, okay? If you need multiple opinions, do so. Do this as quickly as possible. Don't wait as long as me. I waited around because I couldn't bear to hear that there might be something wrong with my heart at 21 years old, so that fear kept me from going. It's ironic because I was scared that I was having heart attacks. You'd think I'd want to go get checked out. I don't know what was going on there. It was really, really weird. I was going back and forth on it nonstop. Meanwhile, my symptoms were growing stronger. I didn't have to be anxious for my symptoms to happen anymore after dealing with this for weeks and months. Now my chest was just constantly hurting. My heart rate was always fast, right? I had constant like tachycardia after getting up and moving around for a little bit. My blood pressure was always high, right? And I was so deep in the cycle of checking my vitals and Googling and just worrying, having nonstop panic attacks throughout the day, not getting any sleep. So basically my symptoms were growing stronger. So by the time I did get initial reassurance, I felt okay in the moment. The doctor kind of laughed at me and was like, oh, slightly rude, okay? I don't think he meant to be rude, but he was like, there's zero chance that you're having any heart issues with your age and the way that you look. And like we did an EKG and some blood work and everything. He said everything's perfectly fine. I was like, okay, thank you, Jesus. And I go home. And then a few hours later, my chest pain's kicking in again. And I'm like, okay, automatically I was like, something is wrong, and they misdiagnosed. So I had to go through a bunch of different rounds of getting tested and getting reassured before it started to kind of settle in. So basically, the faster that you do this, the more effective it's going to be. No telling what my journey would have looked like if I would have done this the same day as my first panic attack, or in that first week. Maybe acceptance would have come easier to me. But guys, if you need to take it to the level of scheduling with a cardiologist, do it. It may take longer, but something to keep in mind, I would write down every question that you have. That will help, okay? Write down anything that you can think of that will help you with your acceptance. And then, there's tons of different testing, stress tests, visual of your heart, like I think it's called echo. They'll be more extensive looks into your blood work or your EKGs. And yeah, they can also give you a heart monitor if they feel like you need that. So whatever you can do to kind of get your mind at ease, but understand, even though you make these appointments and you go to it, you have to convince your subconscious from a conscious standpoint, from your response, that you are safe and that you're healthy and that you can do all this and that your heart's fine, right? It's consciously you're going and making these appointments and you're hearing it on a conscious level. You have to get the subconscious to trust that. So if you're still having symptoms after you get checked out, understand that that's common with anxiety. Number two, stop Googling. And I say stop because most of you that have watched this have already started that at some point. Don't do it anymore, okay? Let the doctor diagnose you. Let the professional tell you what's going on with your body so you can move forward with acceptance. So if you've gotten your reassurance, it's time to step away from Googling, because that's a mixed signal. Your subconscious is never going to believe that your heart is healthy if you are just sitting here looking up symptoms. There's always going to be that tiny chance of something. At what point are you going to let go of control and to move on with acceptance, right? And I can't tell you when to do that. You have to make that choice. If this is anxiety that you're dealing with, deep inside that at some point you are going to have to let go. Googling is not going to translate a message of acceptance to your subconscious, right? And you will spend hours. And not only that, guys, you're wasting time that you could be doing something good for your mental health. There were times that I would spend hours in a day looking up stuff. And guys, the worst stuff's going to be at the top. You should know that by now. And that's with any symptom of anxiety. You're going to find various cancers, neurological disorders. It's best, if you question something, to go see a professional and to get fully tested and to get checked out and move forward with acceptance. But I think so much damage occurs in the first few Google searches that we do when we feel something. And unfortunately, I don't think we understand the extent of the damage that we do to ourselves whenever we Google. But it kind of sets us up for failure. And then we get this idea or this disease stuck in our head. And it's so hard to move on with acceptance once that happens. So that's another thing that I wonder, if I wouldn't have done that when I had my first panic attack, would things have been different? You know what I mean? Would this have lasted as long? And I don't think so. Because at first I was thinking I was just really anxious or dehydrated. I'm kind of panicking. I felt weird. But once I typed in everything and it said heart attack, bam, that's when my panic went to a next level. And then voila, for the next 2 years, I'm struggling with heart anxiety. So stop doing that today. Number 3, stop checking your vitals. This is another mixed signal that is not going to get your subconscious to trust you whenever you say that your heart is healthy. If you're constantly checking your Apple Watch to see what your pulse is, if you're using your 2 fingers, if you're checking your blood pressure. This became a really, really bad habit of mine. And very rarely did I ever get any relief whenever I checked. In fact, every time I checked, my numbers would just keep getting higher, and I ended up with white coat syndrome. So anytime I would go to the ER or the hospital or a doctor's visit, my numbers would just skyrocket because I would have anticipatory anxiety about having bad numbers, right? So that would scare the crap out of me. It turned into its own association. But guys, some of you are doing it for comfort and some of you are being triggered. It's bad for both reasons. I know some of you are like, well, that's the only thing that keeps me calm. You're still a prisoner to it. You know what I mean? Like, your subconscious needs you to say, like, we're good, we're healthy, we're fine. The doctor said this. We have all this evidence that our heart is fine, and that be good enough. You shouldn't have to rely on a device to dictate how your mood is or how you feel that day. I don't believe in that, right? So some of you don't stop because it actually gives you comfort. And then some of you, it's just triggering you no matter what. So stop doing it. I often ask my coaching clients, what has, for most people, it triggers them. What has your pulse checking changed? Has it changed anything for you? Has it done anything for you? And they can't really find an answer. No, not really. So why can't we just get away from it? Well, it's a bad habit. We become tolerant of it and we feel like we need it more and more and more, almost like a addiction, right? We become addicted to checking. So I challenge you guys to give your watch to a loved one, sell it, hit it with a hammer. I don't care what you do. Get that out of your life and then stop checking with your fingers, okay? Start practicing letting go of control and believing what a doctor has already told you, that you are healthy, and start living like you are healthy and acting like you're healthy. And number 4, guys, if you've been checked out by a doctor and you've been told that you're healthy, stop living like a heart patient, okay? Stop being super sedentary because you don't want your heart rate to get up. Stop sitting on the couch all day, laying around, avoiding any type of physical exercise, having this fear of exerting yourself. Trust me, been there. I'm only saying the things that I struggled with, okay? I would be as sedentary as possible. I didn't want to stand up too quick, right? I didn't want to have to jog. I didn't want to have to go upstairs. That would make me nervous. Going up in bleachers or stands, that would get my heart rate up and it would freak me out. Bringing in groceries, anything, guys, doing yard work. I started to avoid those things and I became more sensitive to those things whenever I would partake in them. I would get more anxious whenever I would do that. Whenever I would get up fast, I felt like my heart rate would respond really quickly and it would shoot up. Whenever I would start to do things like going for walks, or if I had to mow the yard, or if I had to bring in groceries, like I felt like I was a lot more sensitive to those things. Stop living like a heart patient. It kind of goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the vitals. Heart patient, might be advised to check their heart rate or wear a heart monitor or check their blood pressure a few times a day. The doctor told you that you were fine, so stop doing that, right? You are reinforcing that there's something wrong with your heart by living this way to your subconscious, and you wonder why you have all these heart-related symptoms. Down to Googling your symptoms all day. Stop doing extensive research whenever you've already been told by a professional, and some of you have been told by specialists, multiple specialists, that you are healthy and that you are okay, but you're joining all these Facebook groups of people that have heart conditions. Guys, stop living like a heart patient if you want your subconscious to believe that your heart is healthy and therefore the symptoms will start to die down. Number 5, guys, this is going to rub some of you the wrong way just because it's something you don't want to hear and it's something you've been trying to avoid for a very, very long time like I did. And that is, I need you guys to start exercising. I don't care if you start out slow or if slow hasn't been working and you want to be aggressive, okay? My personal journey with exercise and heart anxiety, like I said, I got to a really low point to where I was very sedentary, didn't want to stand up fast, do anything to get my heart going. But there did come a time where I was like, okay, like I got to start moving around. You know what I mean? I can't keep living like this. So I would start to do walking, and walking eventually became easy for me. So I could walk long distances and I was fine. I started to tolerate the heat a little bit better. I'd make sure that I'd be a little bit more active outside. So that was a start. So I encourage you guys to start doing things around the house, do more chores, go on daily walks, do some yard work, get outside, stop being afraid of getting out in the elements. and to do something so you can start building a foundation that, hey, my heart can handle this, and then start building on that. For some of you, this is your exposure whenever it comes to heart anxiety. For other people, that's driving or doing other things. But those of us that are afraid that something's wrong with our heart, exposure for us is to actually go out there and exercise and to get those vitals up, right? Which can be very triggering. So you can ease your way into it. And I that's definitely something that I tried, but eventually there was just this wall I felt like I couldn't break through. And it was just, I wasn't willing to push it to the next level, because I was like, there was like a 50% chance that I'm going to die if I push it to that next level. But guys, one day I finally did it, and I was having a panic attack, and I went out and ran, because I was either I'm going to do that or I'm going to go back to the ER and they're going to tell me that there's nothing wrong. And what's going to change, right? What's going to change? So I felt like I was taking a risk, went out, ran, and then finally, for the first time, I was able to fully 100% accept that there was nothing wrong with my heart. Was it important that I got initial reassurance and multiple opinions from doctors about my heart? Yes, that helped me get there. But ultimately, my subconscious needed me to prove to it, through exercise, that I could handle that, because that was something that I was avoiding. So guys, if you feel like you just got to work your way into it, you don't have to go to the gym, you don't have to do a HIIT workout or go for a run. Be active in your house. Get up off the couch, get out of bed, get off the chair. Whenever this video is over, go do something. Do something out in your yard, clean the house, clean the room, do the dishes, go for a little walk, and then build on that. Thank you for making it halfway through this, guys. If you made it this far, go down below in the comment section and put halfway crew. Number 6, start compiling evidence that your heart is healthy. Grab a notebook, guys. Grab something like this and start writing down and fill up as many pages as you need of evidence that you are healthy and that your heart is okay, all right? There can be some nice rational statements that you can include in there, like disease is progressive, something would have happened by now. You can write down, I'm not almost having a heart attack every day. You can write down, every time I get back home from driving, like my chest pain goes away. A heart attack doesn't work like that. Something would have happened by now. You can write down all the times that you've gone to the hospital, all the testing that you've had, the specialists that you've seen, the tests that they gave you. You can write down other pieces of evidence. Oh, if I have a drink or two, all of a sudden my symptoms go away. Some of you are now getting sleep. I know in the beginning it's hard to get sleep. You're still panicking and waking up with these symptoms. But as time goes on, generally we get a little bit better at sleep. And some of you are sleeping and your heart disease is just magically going away whenever you're sleeping. Or whenever I get distracted, sometimes the symptoms can die down. Compile that evidence. Start an exercise journal. Again, it can just be a composition book. Write down the exercise that you did. I went and took a, and you have all that evidence right there, and you go through it every single day. That's why it's important to start exercising, because later on in the day, whenever you're sitting on the couch and you feel something, you can say, well, something would have happened to me this morning whenever I crushed that workout, right? I'm probably not having a medical emergency. There's probably nothing wrong with my heart. I'm just dealing with anxiety. Number 7, change the way that you view your heart. I don't know about you guys, but whenever I was really going through the thick of this for a couple years, I associated my heart with basically anything negative, not really anything positive. It was all negative, and I wondered why I was just having symptoms nonstop throughout the day, even whenever I wasn't anxious, right? I associated it with panic, with fear, with anxiety. I associated it with a health problem, heart disease, obviously. I associated it with hospitals, testing, ER visits, death, funerals, sadness, grief, everything, right? Everything negative that there is, I associated my heart with that. And guys, whenever we have that attitude towards our heart, it just makes it very difficult, even though we're trying to do other things and get some reassurance. It's still difficult, for us to get out of that funk or get out of that symptom cycle. So I encourage you guys to start changing your perception of your heart. Write down some affirmations about your heart. My heart is strong. My heart is the reason that I've been on this planet for X amount of years. My heart allowed me to get up this morning. My heart is very good at distributing blood to all parts of my body. My heart can handle a very high blood pressure. My heart can handle a super fast heart rate. And in fact, it's been handling it for a long time. I have a very, very strong heart that I'm blessed with. That's just some examples. And start reading these to yourself in the morning, along with your other gratitude affirmations and positive affirmations. Sneak some of these in there. Start changing the way that you view your heart. Number 8, change your response, okay? So you've been checked out by the doctor. They told you that you're healthy. You're not Googling, you're not checking your vitals, right? You've got a routine together. You're starting to try to get a little bit into exercise. You're eating healthier, right? Maybe you're doing some exposure and stuff. You need to make sure that you are responding the correct way. Don't just go through the motions and still respond in a fearful manner. I'm not asking you to not be afraid. I'm asking you to be brave and to show courage and to say the right thing when you feel bad, right? When you feel like crap, your heart's going crazy, your chest is tight, you still have a decision in that moment. Am I going to continue to give a fearful response? Oh my God, I'm dying of a heart attack. See, this is why I can't do it. Oh my God, what's happening? No, you have to say, I'm healthy. My heart's good. You have to give positive affirmations, right? You have to explain to your subconscious why you're safe, why things are good. That's why I wanted you to compile evidence. That's a way of responding, right? But you can go to self-love, right? You can go to gratitude. You can challenge your symptoms to intensify, to show your subconscious even more that you're brave and that you're standing up for it and that the symptom's not needed because you're asking for more of it instead of asking it to go away, right? You can actually just become an observer of your symptoms and let things flow. Let things flow through you. View it as energy. You can practice just having the theme of letting go of control. These are all good ways of responding to your symptoms. You can do PMR, progressive muscle relaxation exercises, or you could simply just become a limp noodle in your chair or on your couch or in your bed and release all tension. That can be very, very effective. Number 9, this is another really, really big part of recovery, and that is exposure, exposing yourself to your fears so you can desensitize to them so your symptoms will go down. I had tons of things to expose myself to whenever I was going through my heart anxiety. Going to work, holding down a job, driving was probably one of the hardest ones for me. Exercise was definitely one of the hardest ones for me. You know, for some of you, exposure is going to be bringing in the groceries, doing stuff around the house, getting outside of the house. And, you know, the longer that we have anxiety and we try to stay in our comfort zone, the more our triggers spread. Everything becomes a hassle, right? You know, even taking care of your own kids, going to the movies, anything, guys, going shopping can be overwhelming. It can spread to every part of your life to where basically you're not even wanting to get out of bed some days. So exposure is how you desensitize to these things. And there's different rates of exposure. There's going to be different difficulties depending on how afraid you are of something. I would encourage you to make an exposure list. What are all the things that trigger you when it comes to your anxiety? You can start with the easiest or you can start with the hardest, whatever order you want to do, but go from like the easiest to the hardest in some way. And start with the easiest thing that you feel like you can start exposing yourself to get the ball rolling with it, to get your confidence up. And start with that. And you can go as slow as you want. When it's driving, you don't have to go get on the freeway the first time that you do exposure, right? You can just go sit in your car, you know, for 30 minutes a day for 3 days. And then you can just crank it and sit there and listen to the music and have the AC on. Then you, for a few days, you can back out of your driveway and back up with still doing that other process. Then after that, you can go around the block and then you can get on the side road and then you can get on the freeway, right? And then we can drive for a couple hours, spread it out, but just have some type of a plan or a system that you can be consistent at. Same thing with exercise. And there were certain things that I would be more aggressive. I found like once I would hit a barrier with something, it was time for me to just go all the way with it. So just pay attention to that and just kind of listen to, you know, what feels right, you know, from your heart whenever it comes to exposure. You'll know whenever you're ready to do certain things. But don't be afraid to take your time with it, to be patient. And guys, don't think that whenever you start your exposure, you're not going to have symptoms, because a lot of you will stop doing exposure because you think you're doing something wrong. Well, I got in the car, my chest pain was even worse than being at the, of course it is. You're agitating your subconscious, right? Your body is trying to, your mind actually is trying to save you by getting you out of this car. And if it can get you out of this car, you know, mission accomplished. And it's going to do it with chest pain or just worsening of the symptoms that you already have whenever you're in survival mode or going into fight or flight. So that means you're actually doing something right. So have exposure, make an exposure list, have an exposure plan for each of those things on that list and get busy with it. And number 10, guys, change your perception of heart issues. Okay. I'm not saying that I want you to believe that heart issues are great. They are wonderful. They are amazing. No. I just want you to try to change your perception from it being a death sentence to it's survivable, okay? That's one of our biggest issues with health anxiety in general. Like it's got to be like terminal cancer, I'm going to die from this. It has to be a fatal heart attack, or it has to be like a sudden car, you know what I mean? Like we always assume death with a disease or sickness or illness. We don't even give ourselves credit like we could fight it, right? Give yourself some credit. Like you could fight that cancer. You could fight heart disease. You can reverse your heart disease. You know, you can survive a heart attack even if you were going to have one. I know like some of you don't like to think about all this stuff, but I'm telling you, like, you got to think about stuff like this. Here's an interesting stat, and I wish I would have known this stat back in the day. It might have been a little bit lower, you know, about 10 years ago, but still, this is incredible. Over 90% of people that have a heart attack for the first time survive. Are you kidding me? I never would have thought that. I might have not even believed that stat if I had even looked it up back then. But if I was able to believe it, that would have helped me a lot with my panic attacks that I thought were heart attacks. It would have been nice to think like, well, even if worst case scenario, I'm that 0.0001% that is unlucky and had a heart attack at 21, I'm probably going to survive it anyways. Because that over 90% includes all ages, from what I was understanding. You can find that stat on there. I'm not making it up. There might be some different studies that show it all around that area, but that's incredible for having a heart attack the first time, over 90%. But what do? We catastrophize. We automatically think we're going to have a fatal one. So even if you were to have a heart attack, there's a 90% chance or higher that you're going to survive it. And if you're younger, it's got to be even higher than that. It's probably like 94, 95%. That is incredible. So just think about that. And, you know, there's a lot of different heart issues and conditions, right? But a lot of these are treatable nowadays with medication, with procedures, you know, non-invasive surgeries. I mean, they can go up through the groin and do a lot of things now. Well, non-invasive as far as like not having open heart surgery and things like that. But there are medications to control things. There's beta blockers. There are blood pressure medications. If it were to come to you actually having a heart issue, there's still a really, really good chance that you're going to have a great life. I just want you to be open to that possibility. It doesn't fix everything, right? But it can take the edge off knowing that even if your worst fear comes true of having something wrong with your heart, that you're probably still going to survive and have a good life. Just think about that. That can help. And guys, if you watch this whole freaking thing, that is amazing. I want you to comment, I made it, so I could see the ones who actually stuck with this, the ones that are going to be dedicated, the ones that are probably going to work the hardest to getting past their heart anxiety. Guys, I did it and you can too. It takes time. You have to be patient. I was hard-headed. You know, it took me about 2 to 2.5 years to get past my heart anxiety. But once I got past that, guys, the panic attacks started going away. My anxiety was so much more manageable whenever I got past that. I mean, I still struggled for another couple years, or about 3-ish years, with different forms of health anxiety, worrying about cancer and things like that. But getting past the heart anxiety part was the hardest by far, you know. And I'm telling you guys, if you apply what I talked about today, man, those 10 things, I mean, there's more, but those 10 things right there are game changers. And that's what you need to be focusing on. Those things can get you results very, very quickly. And if you want some more help with your health anxiety, with your heart anxiety, with your panic attacks, with your generalized anxiety, check out my course. It's helping a lot of people. I'm going to put it down below in the description and in the first pinned comment if you want more help. Close to 100 videos that it's going to take you step by step on what you need to do to get past your anxiety and to recover like I was able to do. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Okay, but you can do it too. I'm gonna share with you a review real quick, and I'll see you in just a second.
Elite Anxiety Bootcamp was the missing piece in my recovery. The second day of working on the course, that heaviness feeling that comes with health anxiety lifted from me because I was finally doing something concrete to work towards recovery. The course gave me a foundation, tools, and a coach that wasn't going to give up. Trey has been there. He gets it, and he truly cares about your success. Elite Anxiety Bootcamp was more than worth it. I still have a lot of work to do, but thanks to this course, I've been symptom-free for 2 weeks after 14 months of nonstop symptoms. Thank you, Trey.
So be a part of that. If you want more help through coaching, if you want to do coaching calls with me, go down below and you'll see my email. You can email me, request coaching information, and I will send it all over to you, and we will see if we can get on a call or calls, whatever plan that you want to do. And there's a link for online therapy down there. Check that out. All my socials are down there. Guys, please hit like on this video if you got value. I think a lot of people did get value today, but please just hit like so we can get this out to more people. And guys, until next time, keep fighting. I love you all.